by certifying that the automated election system is proper, secure, and accurate. Under RA 9369, Section 11, the TEC should certify that the election system can be deployed readily. If it cannot issue the certification within 90 days before the elections, the COMELEC should write a letter to the JCOC 30 days before the election to state why the TEC cannot issue the certification. The certification has not been issued. The letter of COMELEC has not been issued to the JCOC. What does that mean for our election? To my mind, we have a big problem. We have already launched the AES in the OAV, Overseas Absentee Voting. We have already deployed the machines that have been reviewed by our source code reviewers, by SNI, CCAAP Inc., and by COMELEC, and by DOST. Without the certification issued by TEC, we may have a big problem on the results and credibility of the elections in the OAV, and probably the FTS, and most likely on election day. This is a big problem that we are confronted right now. The law is very clear under Section 11 of RA 9369 that the TEC should issue a certification, without which we may have some issues on E-Day, especially from the losing candidates. So this is a challenge, and this is a call to COMELEC and the two TEC, the Technical Evaluation Committee, to explain to the people why they have not issued the certification. And this is likewise a call to Chairman Annabel to explain to the people how come they have not given the JCOC an explanation why the TEC has not certified the automated election system. Thank you.
Is the lack of certification a ground to nullify the results of the OAV process election?
Chairman Brillante's position, as I've read it in an article, says that he should not nullify the results of the OAV. But of course, the other side of the coin is, the law is very clear. And there's no way. The TEC is mandated by law to issue the certification to ensure that we will have an automated election system that is properly reviewed, secured, and would accurately count the ballots on E-Day. Without which, we will have now a very big problem that we're confronted.
Especially now that there are reports of wrong receipts or whatever.
That's right. Especially now that we have problems that are being fed to us in the OAV election. We don't want any problem. Okay, the intention and the trust and all resources should be geared towards helping COMELEC to ensure to have a credible election. In fact, even RA 9369 says that we should have an honest, credible election. To ensure the honesty and credibility of the elections, we have the TEC to certify that all the hardware and software are credible and can be deployed on election day. But as of date, we have not seen or we have not heard from COMELEC, neither from the TEC, on the results or on the certification that they should have been issued 3 months ago. So we call on COMELEC to explain, and we call on the TEC to explain how come they have not issued the certification. In fact, I want to make sure, as mentioned to me, to help them push TEC to issue the certification. But the problem there is one. We have already started the OAV. We have already deployed the machines. We have deployed the software that would run the machines. And yet, we have not, the TEC has not issued the certification.
Thank you.
So now we should call on COMELEC and even TEC to explain why.
Okay. Dito Olarte would also speak on the same topic. Sige. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako ang chairman ng Coalition of Clean Air Advocates and mata sa balota ng advokasya ng Coalition of Clean Air Advocates in the Philippines. Ang ating layunin po sa election na ito ay na ang election ay maging credible at mapayapa upang ang talagang totoong binoto ng bayan ang siyang makaupo bilang Pangulo natin at mga opisyalis ng ating gobyerno. Kailangan po tayo magiging militante, magiging active, and kailangan po ang ating mata ay nakatutok sa balota upang wala pong mangyayaring mga aktibidades na magbibigay ng mansa or incredible results of the election. Kailangan po tayo, katulad ng mga ganitong activities na ginaganap natin, ay ating palaging gagawin po bago mag-election para mapanatili sa mga utak at puso ng ating mga botante, mga mamamayan, na ang election na ito ay importante para maipataguyod natin ang demokrasya ng Pilipinas. Magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Okay, Father Robert Reyes,
dahil po mayroong maraming katanungan tungkol po sa credibility ng paggamit ng election counting machines, no? Voters counting machines, ay marami na po mga kandidato na at mga supporters nila na nag-i-issue po ng statement na baka magkagulo po pagkatapos ng election. Kung makikita nila na ang ginamit na mga machines ay na-tamper at yung computer system ay mukhang ibang naging lumalabas na resulta kaysa doon sa action na nangyari sa mga voting precincts. Kaya nananawagan po kami sa COMELEC na at this point, please maintain high moral ground, no? Because people are suspicious that they cannot trust you. There is that suspicion. And kung hindi po mapagkakatiwala ng COMELEC, nakakatakot po ito. As early as now, we have, if we're counting, we only have 9 days to go. Okay? And according to Atty. Guevara, 90 days ago, the TSC should have already certified that the election machinery and technology is credible. But there is no issuance of such certification. So people have every reason to doubt whether this election would run smoothly. But there is still time. So COMELEC, according to Atty. Hubert, Guevara, you can still pressure the TEC to issue a certification and do it on Monday, 7 days before the elections. Kaya, pangalawa po, mga taong bayan, kanya-kanya na, ito po, nahahati tayo, yung eleksyon nahahati tayo. Kung meron 5 presidentiables, may 5 pangkat po. Kaya, hati-hati na po tayo ngayon, pero ang taong bayan, huwag po kayo mag-isip na magre-revolution tayo. Nakakasawa na po yan. At ang makikinabang po pag pinag-uusapan ng revolusyon, yung mga military adventurers na maaring gamitin na naman ang sitwasyon na to para itulak yung military agenda nila. Nakakatuksok po palagi kapag magkakagulo na pumasok na naman ang militar. Nakakasawa na po yan eh. The military solution does not work. Okay? Kaya 30 years after EDSA, ganun pa rin kalakas yung military option. Nandiyan pa rin po ang mga mga general na binabantayan ng political system natin. Dahil yung political system natin after 30 years has remained rather weak, rather immature, rather driven by, not by democracy, but elitist business interests. Kaya pag tingnan natin po yung mga kumakandidato, ang isa pong dapat natin tinitingnan rin po, sino po nagtutulak sa mga kandidato. Kaninong mga manok ang mga yan. Kaya po ang mga taong bayan, huwag po kayong basta-basta magsasabi ng revolusyon. Pero meron pa hong pagkakataon. Merong rally po bukas, no? Prayer rally po. Magdadasal tayo sa labas po ng Manila Cathedral sa harapan ng Comelec. Sa Plaza Roma, no? Kaya yun po. At panghuli po ay marami pong nagsasabing hindi na ako boboto. Lalo pong hindi maganda yan. Kasi pag di kayo boboto, mas madaling magbibilang yung mga machines. Kasi hindi kayo boboto, dahil kayo nakarehistro, lalagyan nila po ng boto yung mga balota nyo na dapat. No? Dapat nilagyan nyo po ng mga pangalan. Kaya the failure to participate in the coming elections will facilitate cheating. So let us be vigilant and let us not relinquish our sacred duty to cast our ballots. Kaya mga kapatid, yung mga religious leaders na ginagamit na po yung salitang revolusyon, ang ating Panginoon si Cristo never used the word revolution because it's subject to misinterpretation. Ang landas po ng ating Panginoon ay ang landas ng kapayapaan. Kaya ang eleksyon ay isang democratic exercise ng mga mapayapang tao. Kapag may nangyaring hindi maganda sa election day, ang hanapin po natin ay ang mapayapa at demokratikong solusyon. Kaya any word that will incite violence, incite desperation amongst the people, let us avoid that. Taong simbahan tayo. Ang panawagan natin ay maging mahinahon, magdasal, mag-usap-usap at magkaisa. Huwag magpangkat-pangkat dahil yung ating manok ay hindi nanalo o nataya. Kaya ang tingnan natin ay yung buong bansa, hindi po yung ating kandidato. It is not our candidates that is at stake here. It is our country's future, which should not rely on one candidate. Our country's future na dapat nakasalalay sa pagkakaisa ng lahat, hindi po ng pagpapangkat-pangkat dahil ang kandidato ko si ganito at baka dayain ni ganito. Hindi po. Kayo pong mga gusto maging presidente, maaari bang mag-usap-usap po kayo? Baka ito po isang pwedeng gawin ninyong 5. Tapos na yung debate. Magkita kayo sa isang lugar at sabihin nyo sa taong bayan, gagawin namin ang lahat para maging maayos, maging mapayapa, at maging mahinahon ang eleksyon na to. At ang higit na mahalaga sa amin ay hindi manalo, kundi magtagumpay ang kapayapaan, ang pagkakaisa, at ang magandang kinabukasan ng ating bansa. Salamat po.
Magandang umaga po. Ako po si Jojo Guerrano, kasapuyang Pangulo ng Coalition of Cleaner Advocates Philippines. Sa May 2 to 6 po is the final testing and sealing ng ating mga vote counting machines. Ang gusto ko lang pong ipaalam sa ating mga watchers na dadating doon ay kung ano ang dapat nilang tingnan. Hindi po, kasi po dito ipapakita kung paano paganahin yung ating mga vote counting machines at pagkatapos po ay isisil yun. Pero ang dapat po nilang bantayan ay ang serial number po ng vote counting machines. Bawat isa po dyan ay merong unique serial numbers na yan po ang nagre-represent ng 93,509 BCMs na naka-deploy sa buong Pilipinas. Meron pong more than 4,000 BCMs na magiging spare. Ang importante po makuha nila yung serial number para po pag nagkaroon tayo ng final audit ay makikita natin kung yun pong mga pinanggalingan ng mga balota ay galing sa mga authorized na vote counting machines. At meron din po silang isang dapat tingnan. Ito po ay yung tinatawag na vote counting machine hash code. Ito pong nasa kulay pula ng papel na ito. Dapat po i-take note po nila na lahat po ng vote counting machine ay may iisang hash code. Pag naiba po ang numerong yan sa hash code na ito, ibig sabihin po ay unauthorized po yung ginamit na vote counting machine. Alam po natin na there are 54 million voters nationwide. Ang regular turnout po natin sa mga nakaraang eleksyon is 70%. Meron po tayong provision sa Comelec na gumamit ng replacement ballots. Yun pong 30% na hindi nakaboto ay huwag po nating pabayaang magamit. Kaya po, importante po na makuha ang serial number ng vote counting machine at ang system hashcode para po maikumpara namin sa database ng COMELEC kung ito nga po ay mga authorized for this coming elections. Maraming salamat po. Bukas po, meron po kaming prayer rally sa harapan ng COMELEC sa Plaza Roma. Magsama-sama po tayo doon para po ipaalam natin sa COMELEC na alam po natin ang mga pwede nilang gawin para po masira itong darating na halalan. Maraming salamat po.
Congressman Atienza, would you like to respond to that?
Ako po si Lito Atienza. Committed, concerned citizen. Dito sa ating halalan. Maganda yung sinabi niyo about hashcode. Para sa kalaman ng lahat, ito po bang hashcode na ito, saan po ba nakatala ito sa machine?
Doon po sa resibo po.
Magka-training po tayo ng WhatsApp natin. Sasabihin namin, saan nyo hahanapin ito?
Sa resibo po. Pag lumabas po yung resibo, nakalagay po doon yung...
Sa resibo.
Sa resibo.
Okay.
Opo, nakaprint.
Lahat ng machine should contain the same hashcode.
Yes.
Pag may nabago, irregular.
Irregular po yun. Sa source, ayan po ang mirror ng source code na nakatago sa central
Would you be able to say which part of the receipt? Yes, sa receipt lang siya kanya. Sa resibo. Nung ibinoto. Nakasulat dapat siya.
Opo.
Nakaprint. Sa ibabaw, sa gitna, o sa ibabaw?
Sa ibabaw po.
Ibabaw. Ang wala ito, pwedeng questionin. Mag-training tayo sa Monday, actual functioning of the machines nationwide. So, dapat po, hanapin natin yan. Pag nakita natin wala yung hashcode, kaya iba, ay tayo magreklamo na. All we need to sit there and report it to the central inyo. Thank you.
Okay. Tumatakbo po kayong sa election, ano? As representative ng Buhay Party.
Buhay Party list.
Kayo rin one of the leading
We are very interested in cheating because we know we are targeted. So we will be very, very careful about the safeguarding of our integrity of the party.
Ano yung stand ng pro-life Philippines sa narating election? What do you expect from...
I can speak for our group, Buhay Party list. Kami po ay talagang nag-aalinlangan, to say the least. We are doubtful on the outcome of this election. Considering what we are already seeing in the overseas voting, ang daming irregularity na report. Yung mga binoto nila, hindi na kasi sa resibo. Iba ang lumabas sa resibo, hindi iba yung binoto nila. Eh, nangyari ito sa marami nating resibo. I would ask, aside from the gender na committed the process, meron tayo ng Spanish Pastoral Council on Responsible Voting. Sila ang merong mandate. Sila ang meron talagang lisensya, bantayan, halalan. We are urging them to be more participatory in this preparation stage and perform the functions on election day. Hindi yung magiging deodorant na lang sila after election. What a perfect election. Tapos na lang ito natin pinag-usapan ito. Sana'y magbantay ang PPCRP as they have accepted the responsibility of safeguarding the elections to be sure that we will have an accurate count. Ngayon pa lang, dapat kasama na sila and perform the duty of auditing the results. Alam niyo, meron tayo ng random manual audit. Yan eh, kasalalay po sa PPCRP yan. Pag hindi na naman nila ginawa yung kanilang tungkulin, katulad ng 2030 or 2010, kung tayo man ay dadayain o magkakadayaan, wala tayong magbibigay ng certification ng nagkadayaan. Ako naniniwala, pag inaudit ang mga makina, at least yung 5 district na lang, after election, makikita mo na agad. Pag merong isa man lang, meron pa rin siya, nagkadayaan. Kung nagkaroon ng ilan sa buong bansa, you can project that now, palagay mo 1 for every 15. Pwede, malaki yun. Baka iba rin ang magiging resulta. So the PPCRB should perform that. If they cannot, they should say so now. But volunteers can already come up, or NAMFREL, or any other organization, CCAAP. Tayo na magbantay, the citizens' movement. Because otherwise, we are left with a supposed watchdog which may not perform the task again come election day. That worries us. At this point, we are relying on the good intentions and the vigilance of organizations like yours. And coming on, we have the ones in the ring, although we have organizations also safeguarding the process, but we will be helpless on election day if the mandated organization says we have had a 99.9 accurate election. Lunod na naman itong ating pinag-uusapan ito. Kaya PPCRB dapat pagtrabaho. Kung gusto nila, ng responsibility. Otherwise, give it to organizations who are already agitated enough to protect the ballot.
Pero may nabanggit kanina na buhay is being targeted for fraud or...
Yes, because surveys are coming out which are not reflective of the truth. Another thing I'd like to point out in this forum is that surveys should be banned from our system because they tend to trend, develop mindsets of the people. Wala nang laban itong kandidato ito, dito na tayo sa winner. Now we're seeing a mad scramble for to jump the bandwagon. Why? Because of the surveys. I have nothing against surveys for candidates to know where they are, what they need to do, scientifically charting their campaign up to the last day, up to election day, okay lang yun. But publishing it in the major networks and the major pages, I believe is something else. Because that will be subjected to manipulation for whatever purpose. I can make one lead in the last days, and then I can cheat for the other guy, and masyado tayong prone and susceptible to cheating and manipulation if surveys are handled in this manner. Walang laban yung kandidatong walang capacity to influence the surveys. So surveys can be allowed, but publishing it, maybe putting a limit. Maybe 1 month before the election, wala na yung papublish sa survey. Magpa-survey ka na magpa-survey araw-araw, but you have to keep it to yourself. Use it for your purpose, but the people will not be influenced by a stampede mentality for 1 or 2 candidates. I will craft a law immediately after this election to pursue this objective. Surveys cannot be published after a period of time or before the elections so that mind-setting of the electorate will be avoided. Kundi po, tulad po ng karanasan namin sa mga karangalan, surveys come out, buhay is not even counted as one of the potential winners. Hindi kami kasali halos. They list a number of party lists, 32 or 35. Wala kami. And yet, elections are finished, we top the election. Number 1 yung buhay. Ito na naman. Number 12, number 8, kung sino-sino yung pinalalabas na sa top 3. Totally unbelievable, but we know, sanay na kami dyan sa ganyan. But one of these days, pwedeng hindi ka isama sa survey, hindi ka na rin isama sa winning circle, and people will take it. Hindi naman kayo kasali sa survey. Kung talagang survey na lang aasahan natin, next election, si Mahatma Gandhi na lang ang tanongin natin, whom do you want to be president? And probably Mr. Lopa, ask Mr. Lopa of South Asia, sino gusto niyo maging presidente? Dahil sila lang nagka-trending, kung ano ang gusto nila mag-isipin ng tao. Dapat pansinin natin.
So at this point, tatlo yung representatives ng buhay sa Congress.
Yes, because we topped the election in 2013. And as I was telling you, hindi kami kasali sa surveys ng 2013. Imagine from nowhere, bigla na lang nag-top kami. Why? Because hindi nila naman binago yung election. But they could do that, and they can do it this time. We were very vocal in Congress. We know we stepped on so many toes. It's possible. It's even probable that some people may not like Buhay to again emerge as number one. But in surveys are already an indication. So we are guarding it, and we will try our best to do that.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of former SEC Chairman Prefecto Yatay, who will give his ideas on the training industry.
Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat. I thank you for this opportunity to be here. Dahil nung ako yung naging tagapangulo ng Securities and Exchange Commission, ay talagang nakita natin na napakaraming trillion companies na nagkaroon ng kahirapan dahil sa pumasok ng Asian crisis then, particularly. At hindi lamang mga traded companies na nagkaroon ng kahirapan, kung hindi lahat ng mga industriya ng Pilipinas, lalo-lalo na yung real estate based, and particularly even banks were seriously affected, and also insurance companies. If you will look, kung titignan natin yung pag-uumpisa ng financial crisis dito sa Asia na nagsimula nung sa Thailand nung 1998, if I remember, ay nakita natin na we were the least and the last affected by it. Yung pumasok ang epekto ng krisis sa atin, it came much later. But nevertheless, ang prediction natin noon ay even banks, even insurance companies, and then eventually yung premium na tamaan sila would not be recovering as fast as the other Asian neighbors of ours that were even more severely hit by the crisis. And true enough, you see, before when the crisis started, the value of the peso in connection with the baht was at 32 baht, 32 pesos to the dollar. But now you see that the Thai baht has remained constant and steady and strong at 32, but our pesos have deteriorated. And in fact, when we say that it is somehow stabilized, it is not really because of our strong economy, but more importantly because the value of our currency is really being manipulated by the Bangko Sentral. When the dollar is high, they will try to defend the peso, but when the peso is also low with respect to the other currencies, they will also try to defend the peso and really buy and lose a lot of government funds in the currency transactions. But going back to the pre-need, nakita natin na while there was a real problem insofar as the pre-need industry is concerned, nakita natin that the solution was not to close or kill the pre-need industry. Why? Because marami na tayong mga pre-need plan holders at that time, hundreds of thousands, whose plans have already matured. Hinihintay na lamang yung mga anak nila na umabot sa 8 taon para pumasok sa kolehiyo, where the plans would now kick in and they would be given the funds para makapagtapos ng kolehiyo. Now, when you kill the pre-need industry, because of how the pre-need industry was formulated and was founded, there is no way for these people to recover the investment. And this was something that our government officials, especially Marojas, should have anticipated. But very seriously, and I'm saying this as candidly as I could and as factually as I could, yung naging pangulo ako nagpamulo ako ng SEC, there were efforts to remove me, especially coming from former President Eric, for many reasons that I stated before. But Marojas was interested in removing me because he wanted to put his own person to succeed me who would arrest the tremendous growth of the period then that was competing with the life insurance. So his purpose, even when I was suspended as chairman of the SEC, thinking that I will not come back, he asked our USAID consultant to come up with a study, purposely the report of which would recommend the closure of the pre-need industry. He did not anticipate at that time that I would be going back to the SEC because I fought my case up to the Supreme Court and I was vindicated at bumalik ako sa SEC. Pagbalik ko, pinakita sa akin ng USAID consultants namin sa SEC, wala pa yung agile noon, yung report na yun. At sinabi ko, sino nag-authorize itong report na ito? Eh bakit ang recommendation nyo papatayin? Bakit hindi na lang natin palalakasin? We will come out with even stricter regulations that will eliminate and wipe out fly-by-night pre-need companies rather than kill the goose that lays the golden eggs and so fast the hundreds of thousands of families that were able to send their children to college. But that was not the agenda of Marojas. His agenda was not to help the bank holders in making sure that they will protect the unscrupulous pre-need companies. His agenda was to make sure that the pre-need company will be killed and the industry will be killed so that the lackadaisical performance of the life insurance business would be revived. If you would see at this time, nakikita mo, the life insurance business directly competed with the pre-need, particularly the educational plans. And yung pagpasok ng pre-need industry, particularly pagpasok ng educational plans, naiwanan talaga ang life insurance business. The pre-need industry grew by leaps and bounds. So, nakikita nyo, ngayon, pinatay mo ng pre-need industry. For all intents and purposes, it is dead. Nakakuha pa ng plan holders, yung pera nila. They will never get it. And where is Marojas now? Is he taking that nudges to make sure that these pre-need companies will be able to return the money to the plan holders? No, because his objective was already achieved, kill the pre-need companies so that life insurance will be resuscitated.
Question po. Chairman, are you telling us na kaya hindi nakakakolekta yung mga plan holders, that's because of Marojas?
Anong ibig sabihin hindi nakakakolekta?
Yung mga plan holders.
Yung okay. Hindi yung...
Kasi gustong patayin ni Marojas ito eh.
Yeah.
Of course, sa may scant knowledge, yung life insurance, pipiliin ng tao yung plan holder. Kasi you only die once eh.
Yeah.
Yung hindi pa sigurado kung makukuha mo kasi walang gustong kumuha ng benefit ng life insurance. Itong pre-need, sigurado to after 15 years.
Yes.
So, collectahin. So, yung profit, napakalaki doon sa life insurance.
Yes. Ayaw ko kung naintindihan nyo how the pre-need company works. No? Yung plan holder will be putting in and pay their premiums, let's say for a period of 5 years, and then the premium payments will be fully paid. Pero hindi pa nila makukuha yung pera. They will wait until the child goes through college. In the meantime, yung pera na yun, ini-invest mo sa other investment vehicles directed by the SEC to be spread out. During the financial crisis, ang idea namin was for these pre-need companies, as well as with the other even banks and life insurance, to invest the main bulk of their portfolio on blue chips and safer investment vehicles. Alright? Real estate, you could only invest not more than 20%. The idea was that you spread it out But during the financial crisis, namatay yung concept ng blue chips. Every stock in the Philippines was just became almost overnight worthless. Pati na yung mga Meralco, pati na yung ABS-CBN, pati na yung other stock. So this was a typical problem that pervaded over the Philippines. Now the solution was not to kill the PNP. Now kung pinatay mo yung PNP, i-liquidate mo yung assets, wala talagang pupunta sa fund holders. Doon ko ang ginawa ng ating government regulators, particularly under the lead of Marojas, was to make sure na bibigyan natin ng pagkakataon ng PNP company to recover from the bad effects of the crisis. Then we will be able to provide even for the money for these fund holders. Alam mo, when I was chairman of the SEC, marami mga businesses who anticipated the effects of the financial crisis as early as 2008. One of them, for instance, is Andrew Tan. Andrew Tan's company at the time was affected by the financial crisis even as it was still limited in its effects in Thailand. But people like Andrew Tan came to the SEC ahead of time and said, can the SEC help us cope and recover? And this is exactly what they did. And we allowed that. Now you see, MegaWorld is one of the top performing companies now. This should be the kind of attitude of government regulators, not to strangulate, but to develop.
What's the interest of Marojas over this insurance business? Why did you want to kill the pre-live and resuscitate or revive the insurance?
Yeah,
And when you got back in at SEC, how come you did not reverse the findings of the US?
I did. In fact, first let me answer the first aspect of your question. I believe that Marojas before was working for the American Insurance Group together with Ambassador Pusha. And one can surmise that because of their connections with that group, they wanted to really make sure that the life insurance business will continue to thrive in the Philippines. Now, when Marojas came up with not Agile, no, but USAID report, Agile came much later. There was another report of Agile. But when Marojas came with the USAID report, I asked the USAID consultant, where did this report come from and who authorized it? They said, I authorized it. I said, no, I did not authorize it. When I authorized it, I was suspended. And then they said, no, maybe the Secretary of Finance. The Secretary of Finance was the secretary that had general supervision over the SEC then. And then finally, after a few days of investigation, it turned out that it was Marojas, who was Secretary of Trade, who ordered it. Marojas, Secretary of Trade, had no business at all to make that order for the SEC because the Secretary of Trade, the Department of Trade, had no jurisdiction over the SEC. But the plan was initially, at that time before, was to put the Department of Trade back to generally supervise the Securities and Exchange Commission. That report, I reported into the Secretary of Finance, but I said, this is wrong. You do not do it in this manner. And it died there. Until when I left the SEC in 2000, then there came in another Agile report. This time, Agile took over the functions of the USAID consultants whose term had already expired. But the consultancy of the USAID was continued through Agile. And Agile came up with the same report. And that was the basis. At that time, I was no longer at the SEC, that the focus was to kill the brilliant.
What American insurance is that? Can you identify that?
How's that?
Which American insurance company was identified with Marojas?
The AIG Group, the American Insurance Group, which Film Life is one of them here in the Philippines.
Film Life.
And for the record, I'd like to tell you that when I was chairman still of the SEC, again, don't take this in a bad light because this is if I were a businessman like him, I probably would make this recommendation. But At that time, Joey Quisha, who was the head of the Philip Life Group here, as the director of the AIG Group in Asia, approached me at the height of the financial crisis and told me, Chairman, can you allow us to invest the money of our printing company, film, printing plants, outside the Philippines, because the business environment here in the Philippines is not good. We'd like to put it in our other companies that are operating, for instance, in Asia, like in Japan, where investment growth was better than the performance in the Philippines. I said no. I said no, because these are funds that should be placed here, and we have a regulatory, what they call this structure that prevents this money of plant holders to be invested out. And it was not going to help the Philippine economy if you would be using Philippine money and have other companies benefit from it outside. That was the reason why I refused it.
But how come policyholders still cannot collect?
Well, because if you kill the company, where will they get the money?
So that decision of Marojas then has now the effect of depriving
Yes,
the plant.
they will never get their money. They will never get their money because the solution was not to kill the printing company. Give them the opportunity to recover because they were really hit like other industry because of the financial crisis.
Anyway, can I add a little more to get Marojas more known to all of us? Why and how should we be intervening in matters like this, founded by the former chairman of the SEC? Yung common stations, MRTs, between SM and Renoma, has already been decided, built out, and just about to be started and completed early in this administration's time. Andun sa side ng SM. Nagbayad na yung SM, no? Initial construction, 200 million. Done project. Dumating si Marojas, binago ang plano. Contrary to the commitments of the national government, nilagay sa Trinoma. So the question that you're asking, why is Marojas, why did he do that to the printing industry? I'm sure he has his reasons there, personal, as he had his reasons in the Trinoma shifting personal. Why am I saying this? Because in the congressional hearings that we did, it came out from the key officers of the MRT, the DOTC, that it was Marojas who gave the orders, ilipat yung station to favor Trinoma.
To favor the Ayalas.
Of course, Trinoma is Ayalas. Ganun din naman yung why is the central station of the buses and everything nasa gitna ng Cubao Center owned by the family of Rojas. So nakikita ninyo, itong tao ito magaling, masipag, masipag, matalino. Pag sa kanyang kapakinabangan.
Question. Magkano yung kabuang industry ng printing?
Yeah.
Filipino invention.
As against the insurance.
As against insurance.
You know, in just a matter of a short time, the printing industry grew by leaps and bounds. At the time when I was chairman, the industry was a 27 billion peso industry compared to the lackadaisical performance of life insurance. It was not, alam mo, Pilipino kasi,
How much yung
I think,
insurance?
not even 5 billion. Mababa eh. You see, the life insurance business is not really attractive to the Filipino who generally are sometimes even superstitious. No, bakit ako po ng life insurance? Makapapatay pa ako. But if you will remember, life insurance was being used and advertised as a means also to save for the education of your children. Where, when the cash value of the life insurance gets to a certain amount, you can borrow from that cash value so that you can use it to pay for the educational needs of your children. But that cash value is incredibly small, and you borrow it. It is deducted from whatever proceeds that you will later on get from your life insurance if you die. Unlike printing, the money is dedicated specifically for the education of your child. For instance, if the projection is that I need to contribute in that period of 5 years 5,000 pesos when my child is only, let's say, 5 years old. And then I will have 15 years to expect for that money to grow and be invested in investment opportunities where by the time that my child reaches college, he will have enough funds to complete his college education depending upon the particular cost at that time. If you say that you will have a guaranteed, for instance, cost, that the education for a 4-year or 5-year college education cost will be, let's say, 50,000 pesos, your 10,000 pesos investment now that you contributed at that time will have 50,000 pesos, and you could choose the kind of university that you would like to be in. And because of that setup, it is undeniable that hundreds of thousands of our Filipino children were able to finish college. Many of them became lawyers, many of them became doctors, and many of them have enjoyed the benefits of that plan.
So how many students are deprived of that privilege?
Deprived now?
Yeah.
Oh, I think hundreds of thousands.
Like ballpark figure?
Oh, my guess is at the very minimum, I would look at it at about, maybe, kasi marami ring hindi pa nagtapos ng pagbabayad, hindi pa huminahilot, pero nawala na rin, di ba? If you look at it that way, because the pre-need industry was a really growing industry, you're really talking a minimum of 500,000 to my estimate. I can be wrong, but that's a ballpark figure that I'm giving you. But the point I'd like to emphasize is that sa Pilipino, they will even be willing to sell their last asset, which is the Carabao, just to put it in an investment vehicle to assure the college education of the children. That is why, as a Filipino invention, the pre-need plan succeeded, because it catered and responded to what the Filipinos felt were their needs.
So how can that be corrected now that Mar is running for president?
Patay na eh. Patay na yung kabayo, kung gusto mo. Mas papalo.
Yeah, bakit, hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit ang graduate ng Wharton, papatayin yung 27 just to give way for 5B. Ilan ang percentage ng profit doon sa 27 billion industry kumpara sa percentage ng profit doon sa 5B industry?
Profit in terms of the pre-need company?
Yeah, and life insurance companies. Ilang percentage?
Hindi ko, I don't have, quite frankly, I do not have the figures. Iba kasi life insurance works differently from the pre-need industry, no? So life insurance,
profit.
You would not know exactly, for instance, how many people will die in a given year. Diba? If the risks that is not exempted, for instance, would be some kind of calamities, and the calamity would be like an earthquake, and then hundreds of thousands of Filipinos will all die at the same time who are covered by life insurance. You can bet your bottom dollar these insurance companies will collapse in that event. But not so with pre-need, because every year you already know exactly how much money you would need for the maturing obligations that you will be paying. And the plan for pre-need convention operating has always been with respect to actuarial projections to make sure that that fund is available every year, which is defined and identified.
Ariel, hindi mo maintindihan, college of work, graduate of work, bakit ganun mag-isip? You're thinking kasi in terms of rationalized thinking, common sense, and economic principles. Hindi yan ang ginagamit niya ni Marcos, ginagamit niya paano si Eddie.
Si Eddie.
Eddie! Eddie kami.
How close
Eddie kami.
Sa question lang, tapos we'll return to this issue siguro after we sige,
how close is Mar Rojas to that AIG group? What interest does he have there? Is he a stockholder there to...
Based on personal knowledge that I had, I knew that Mar Rojas was an official of AIG that catered to the interests of the company insofar as Philippine and Asian operations are concerned.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the issue of election preparations. Dr. Olarte has something to say about this.
Okay, balik po tayo sa
Will give
clean election, no? Credible election. Now, ang ating pangamba dito ay baka ang election ay magiging hindi credible. So, ang ating balak, ang ating intention ngayon is to have a clean and credible election. Now, itong Smartmatic, nalaman natin na in 2010, nagkaroon siya ng pagpak sa electronic transmission, no? 1 out of 10 PCOS machines did not electronically transmit correctly the results of the election. That was in 2010. PCOS machine yan. Ngayon, nagiging malala in 2013. Nagiging 1:4 PCOS machine. Nagkaroon ng pagpak sa electronic transmission, no? So, yun ang magiging problema natin. Now, halimbawa, itong SD card na parang SIM card yan, which contains the results of the election, no? Tatanggalin yan from the voters counting machine, yung BCM. Pag tinanggal po yan at nilipat doon sa tinatawag natin na consolidation and canvassing system laptops, nagkakaroon po ng problema doon. Kasi yung SD machine, pwedeng itatamper po yan. Yung SD card, pwedeng itatamper po yun. So that yung nakarecord doon sa SD card ay hindi na po totoo yan, no? So, yun ang magiging problema. Because that SD card can be tampered. Now, especially po din, itong Smartmatic, instead of utilizing a very credible electronic transmission system, which is the mobile system na dapat yun ang gagamitin sana. Ang ginamit nila itong tinatawag na broadband global area network or BGAN, which is only unidirectional. Ang dapat sana yung mobile system wherein ang signal is multidirectional para madaling ma-transmit kaagad yung signal from the precinct to the counting, to the itong mga dito sa munisipyo wherein the munisipyo wherein the total votes are being counted. Ang ginamit nito Smartmatic is itong BGAN, which is not good. So yun ang magiging problema. Now another problem here is also regarding the receipts, no? Yung mga resibo na inutos ng Supreme Court. Ang ginawa ng COMELEC, wala pong itong date, time, at saka yung presinto kung saan ang gagaling po yung resibo. So, ang nangyayari nito, yung resibo ay nagiging inotel. It cannot be used as a documentary evidence for any trial or anything that we can use in court, no? So, ang ating pakiusap dito, ang ating rekomendasyon nito is kailangan bilangin yung resibo doon mismo sa presinto para ma-validate natin yung resulta na ilalabas ng BCM or voter counting machine. Ang atin lang dito talaga ang pagbilang ng resibo because after that, kung hindi po natin binilang yung resibo at i-compare natin doon sa resulta ng voting ng BCM, voters counting machine, maaari pong iba ang lumabas. Now, natinig po natin na yung overseas absentee voting, nagkaroon po ng mga anomalya. Diba yung binoto nila, yun ang hindi lumabas. Or yung boto doon sa binoto nila, napunta doon sa ibang kandidato. So, there is now something that may mancha na po. Merong mga balitang ganon. Sana ito'y hindi totoo. Pero kung totoo man ito, it will affect the credibility of our election.
Salamat po. Pwede ba magtanong sa mga computer experts we have today on what we experienced in 2010? The first time that the machines were used. In Manila, we had very strange experiences that we would like the whole nation to know. Because we filed a protest we were not able to prosper in the protest because sabi nga nila, wala kaming prueba eh. Ang dala-dala namin prueba, and I would wonder, officials, on your opinion, are the election returns. Our election returns in Manila contain different dates of election. Ang election natin something like May 11. Or May 10. May 11. Pero sa amin, April 26, 27, 29, May 1, May 4, May 5, May 9, ang mga dates ng election. At yung time of election, dapat 7 o'clock in the morning, duration, you're supposed to close at 5, or maybe 5:10. Dapat ganon, no? Ang aming time of election, we said early in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 o'clock midnight. Ang uniform lang, very, very clearly uniform, yung duration of election, nalagay mo 1 o'clock in the morning at Quezon Falls, 1 o'clock, 6 seconds after, yun ang closing. Kung 5 o'clock na ang hapon, yun bukas, 5 o'clock, after 6 seconds, yun ang closing. Yun ang uniform. Period of election. On that basis, we went to court, we went to protest. And with the COMELEC, we were given a hard time. 1 year before we even started taking up the issue. But they wrote it as ordinary computer glitches. Would you agree with that at this point? So that we can warn the whole nation. If you see markings on your returns, different dates and different times of election, we should be claiming already that there is an irregularity in your receipt. Para naman meron tayong basis. Dahil baka ito gamitin ng technique lang naman eh. Ang theory ko, yung 6 seconds uniform time period of election is the period that it took whatever encoding that they did on the machine, 6 seconds para nagpadala ka ng text. Dahil yun lamang ang naging period of election natin, 6 seconds. Would you agree that we have a very good reason to think that there was cheating in that particular election in Manila? I'm talking about the city of Manila. Ang reasoning nila, ordinary computer glitches to yan. Sabi ng Smartmatic, sabi ng Google. Ano yung sasagot mo? Wala na, talo yung protesta namin.
So, ang importante nga dito, if the electronic transmission system fails and the election becomes tainted or incredible, no? Dahil hindi accurate yung mga resulta. Now, maraming ang nagbabala na baka magkakagulo. In fact, ang sinasabi kanina ni Father Reyes is yung revolution na sana huwag mangyayari. Hindi natin gusto mangyayari yan. Yung people power is also possible, no? Many people now are thinking of having a people power kung hindi magiging credible ang election. Yun ang sanang iiwasan natin. But people power is very possible kung mangyayari yung incredible elections.
Can I get an answer to my question? Pag meron mga markings na, iba-ibang petsa, iba-ibang oras, isa lang ang uniform, yung period of election, 6 seconds. If we find that again, what do we do? Is that regular or irregular?
Can I ba rin? Yeah. Alam niyo, mayroong akong isang comment that I have not heard being articulated, but to me it's a very serious problem dahil nangyari sa mga maraming Pilipino yan na hindi kandidato na inaakala nila, honestly, na dinaya sila ng pekos. No? Hindi nabilang yung kanilang boto. Pero yung setup natin sa ating batas, itong mga tao na ito, hindi makapag-file ng protesta. They cannot question. They are inherent right to assure na yung boto nila ay mabilang. Walang ganun eh. Pumunta ka sa election protests. Hindi mo magagawa yun dahil hindi ka kandidato. So kami, ang ginawa namin, representing some voters who felt cheated by the machines, pero wala silang standing to go before the electoral tribunals or whatever the body is, pumunta kami sa Korte Suprema as voters, not as losing candidates in protest. Ganon. The sad part was that at that time, na-proclaim na yung mga kandidato at sinabi nila ng Korte Suprema that the issue has become moot and academic. But the point is, up to now, what is the recourse or what are the recourses of our people or the electorate who are not candidates if they want to question the credibility and honesty of the Pecos machines or the BCM?
Yung pong concern ni Congressman Atienza, yan po ang isang pinag-uusapan ng aming mga computer experts kasi po hindi po nagkaroon ng provision sa COMELEC na dapat hindi pwedeng pakialaman yung yung VCMs. So, yung ngayon pong pangyayari, pwede pong pakialaman ng BAI yung VCM mismo, they can change the date. So, dapat po ang date ng lalabas doon sa ating VCM is only May 9. Pag naiba po yung date, there's a possibility that merong preloading na nangyari. At gusto ko nga pong ipaalam sa ating mga poll watchers, by the end of the voting period, kailangan po you make sure na pinindot po yung close and write protect doon sa ating vote counting machines. Pag na-push po yun, hindi na po pwedeng sulatan yung SD card. Yan po ang kailangan bantayan. Hindi lang po yung una ko pong sinabi is get the BCM serial number and the hash code. At isa pong dapat nating bantayan, pagdating po sa CCS, ay yun po ang doon po magmamanual key-in sila. At dadalhin po kasi doon yung SD card sa CCS. So yun po ang dapat bantayan. Dapat po kung pwede silang nasa likod nung nag-key-in at tingnan kung tama po yung pinapasok na numero.
Bigyan natin daan ng pro-life tungkol sa stand nila sa issue.
Just to wrap up my issue. An ordinary cash register every time tells the actual date, time that you punch whatever receipt that you are after, no? Hindi nagkakamali. Kung nagkamali yan, babaguhin mo yan. Sa voting machine natin, as I'm telling you, we found almost 3/4 of our election returns in that condition. Ang tanong ko sa inyo, iyan ba regular o hindi? Pag hindi regular, dapat doon pa lamang questionin ng aming mga watcher.
Tama po.
Dahil sa iba-ibang time, iba-ibang date. That's supposed to be a guaranteed machine for an accurate count. Sagot ng smart natin dyan, ordinary computer glitches daw yan. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Kailangan po, dapat talaga yung date.
Tanong ko, sabi ng Smartmatic, ordinary, forgivable computer glitch.
Hindi po tama.
Hindi tama. Ang dapat, ang PPCRB should have sided with us. No, because hindi tama eh.
Yes.
But I'm sorry to say, the PPCRB did not side with us.
Isang question kay Kong Atienza. Yung buhay party list, sino nila-endorso na, do you think is pro-life doon sa mga Vice President at President?
Mga Presidente,
Sinong ini-endorso ng
ay isa
buhay?
lamang pro-life candidate ngayon, si Jojo Binay.
Okay.
Because he's against same-sex marriage, he's against divorce, he's against abortion, he's against all the anti-life measures. Sino ang endorso ng buhay? Si Jojo Binay.
Vice President.
Tonight we have a big rally sa Annabel. I'm sure it will be announced.
Sa Vice Presidency po.
Ang Vice President, anyway, I'm preempting Brother Mark, I should. Pero lalabas naman itong bukas pa ko sa kanya. I believe it's Bongbong Marcos.
Yeah, Kong, follow up. So si Maro kasi being anti-life at sa recent expose ni Chairman Yasay, anti-education pa. Anti-life din yun.
Si Maros, hindi lang ang anti-life, anti-education, he is pro-us. Pro-Eddie. Pro-Eddie. Wala na si Eddie.
What about Grace po, Bigong?
Digo, if you call it pro-life, may problema ka, Christine. Si Po is for same-sex marriage. In fact, she made an announcement of that. Lenny Robredo is for same-sex marriage. So take it from there. But for same-sex marriage now, then you're going against the proper valuing of marriage, family, life. Hindi pwedeng manganak yung pareho na bata. Tinanong sa mga hindi pwedeng manganak. Anything the purpose of marriage. Partnership, friendship, BFF, okay lang yun. We can understand that. Anti-discrimination, we will definitely support pro-lifers in the country. But, same-sex marriage. Pag sinabi mong same-sex marriage ka, hindi ka pro-lifer. So, the goal is not only partially anti-life, it's totally anti-life. Because it's for killing, it's for raping, it's for everything. Everything negative in life. Yan po, marami siyang mga pronouncements on the anti-life measures. And I believe she will promote abortion eventually because she is very much American influence, and the next president of the country could be, by most probability, Clinton. Sabi ni Clinton, no woman has a right to be called one unless she is for abortion. Malamang, kating-kapi na namin ang abortion sa Kongreso. I wish all the pro-life candidates win para hindi matupad dyan.
How many members do you have to be able to
Are you
make
talking
Binay
about
Marcos win?
Buhay or El Shaddai?
El
Kasi
Shaddai.
ang aming pinaka-infrastructure na aming organization is the El Shaddai organization.
El Shaddai and Buhay.
Ang Buhay? So far, we've gotten 1.3 million last election, and we're working towards, again, popular election, but I hope and pray the other populist members also get elected. Ang dumami naman kami rin. Kadalasan, kami lang ang mga tumatayo rin to defend life.
How many members does the El Shaddai have?
El Shaddai would have about 2.5 million members.
Voting?
Nationwide.
Voting mo yan?
Voting?
Noong isang election kasi, nahati kami. Merong isang party list na, in fact, hindi lang nahati, nahack kami. Merong pumasok na alay buhay. Akala ng mga tao, buhay ito alay buhay.
Yung pala agaw buhay.
Walang kinalaman sa ating advocacy yun. Tapos meron pang pakyaw na pumasok. Ganon din ang claim nila. Kaya nagkahati-hati yung boto. Pero ngayon, malinaw naman yung buhay party list. Tsaka 110. You can't be mistaken. 110.
So wala na yung alay buhay.
Meron pa rin, pero alam na ng mga tao, hindi pro-lifer yun. Yun ay agaw buhay.
So your position and your endorsement is the same as the El Shaddai's? The one you're endorsing Binay Marcos now, would the El Shaddai also
Buhay
endorse
party
them?
list hasn't been endorsed Binay already earlier. But tonight, it's going to be El Shaddai and our leader, Brother Mike, who will make the announcement for El Shaddai members.
And that's Binay what?
I am just saying that Binay probably would be the same. But I would like to, I do not want to formally announce it as it should be him announcing it tonight.
Yeah. Binay Marcos?
Binay Marcos.
Okay.
Thank you.
Reaction din lang po doon sa sinabi ni Mayor Duterte na pag nanalo siya, parang walang mag-impeach sa kanya, papasalamat ng Kongreso.
Ay, yun ang dahilan, kaya ayoko siyang manalo eh. Solusyon niya palagi, shortcut. Siya lang ang tama. How can you close down the Congress just like that? Just because the president is impeached? So, friends pa niya. If they impeach me, I will close this down. And then we will probably. Hindi ganun kasi. And he also declared martial law to be able to do that. But to declare martial law, we have a constitutional prohibition of martial law declaration. So this man is dangerous, to say the least.
Salamat, Tom. And I'm Eric Manalang. I am the president of Pro-Life Philippines, and immediately after Congressman Atienza had to go after other things, I took over. So we are close. And thank you. We have also a pro-life party list called ang Pro-Life Party List. We're one behind 109. Okay? But at any rate, let me go now to the big picture. As many of you have known, that the pro-life movement has been against the RH law and many other anti-life concerns that only not affect the Catholic Church but the Filipino family and the country. We look at the next election as very crucial. I take this from no less than Ambassador Joe Romero, who posted the other day that this president in 6 years will be able to appoint 10 Supreme Court justices. That's how important this election is for us in pro-life and pro-family. Obviously, my being a pro-lifer is not just an advocacy, it's my way of life, our way of life. I'd like to recognize many people here from pro-life. Father Polinar, who heads the Servants Community, Bert Alba, Dr. Ray Chavez, who is from Filipinos, Doctors for Life, and there's Peter from Love Life, the youth group. Anyway, of course, Lito David, who is in our Executive Director for Life Philippines. But let me continue. So that means that if we have an anti-life president or administration, you can be sure that the agenda in the next 6 years, one after the other when these justices retire, will be to be able to dominate the Supreme Court. And we saw that in the past, not just this past administration, how one, even with difficulties getting others, can remove a Supreme Court justice. And sad to say, he passed away, and we know who killed him. Anyway, the promotion and propagation and defense of life is the yardstick with which I measure the righteousness of every choice and decision I make and do. This is my way of taking care of my family and continuing the good and welfare of society, my country, and of course the world. Pro-life is not just the Philippines. In this way, I am guided by the words of St. John Paul II, who said, to be actively pro-life is to contribute to the renewal of society through the promotion of the common good. By the way, the common good is not for today. The common good is always in the future. The common good we get today, if it is there, is because of the past. So we have to work on the common good consistently, holistically, and integrally. It is impossible to further the common good without acknowledging and defending the right to life, upon which all the other inalienable rights of individuals are founded and from which they develop. All the problems of this country are morality issues. We have to look, and we have grouped together as a movement, a pro-life movement. How do we choose among candidates, at least from the senators upward to the president, where we will base our choices and our decision? Well, in the roster of the presidential candidates, we're looking for one who is courageous and unequivocally and without ambiguity stands up for human life, from conception to natural death. Only one who's aligned his platform with the teachings of the Church. It does not have to be only the Catholic Church. against abortion, contraception, same-sex union, death sentence, euthanasia, divorce, and many other similar anti-life practices. And only one who is able to declare his pro-life principles. Because it's easy to say it in small gatherings, but to say it loud and clear in writing is another thing. Now, we've heard about the word ideological colonization of the Western nations. Ito po yung nangyayari ngayon. Pope Francis warned us about this during his pastoral visit in the country last year. So if you look at the presidency, among the five, it is obvious that only VP Binay is our vote for life, our vote for the Filipino family, our vote for our faith in God, and our vote for better pro-life Philippines, along with our organization. We also went through the process of looking at others, because in the VP level, there's of course Senator Rasan and Villanes, and I think one more, and some who are wishy-washy. Okay? But with all due respect on the forthcoming declaration of Bongo Marcos as the VP choice, we had to speak to him to be convinced that he is pro-life. Because in the Senate hearings on RH, we were debating him tooth and nail. But we have spoken to Senator Onasa, who has been very supportive of us all the way up to today. So we went through the process of talking to senators. We don't just take them on the basis of what they say in radio or in the newspaper. We speak to them and we ask them tough questions. And so from that, we came up with the list of senatorial votes. And by the way, it's almost the same messages that my other pro-lifers have. We start with Princess Giselle Tiram as a choice. Dante Liban, Manny Pacquiao, obviously, Martin Romualdez, Roman Romulo, Vicente Soto, Justado Valeroso, the general, and lately we have gone through the process of Wing Subiri. Now, we will not endorse if we don't go through the process of discussing it with them directly. Now, as I will end this, again from St. John Paul II, sabi niya, true holiness does not mean a flight from the world. Rather, it lies in the effort to incarnate the gospel in everyday life, in the family, at school, and at work, and in social and political involvement. And I find it also very important, and I hope that you will get the indulgence, organizers, the statement of Senator Nasa of this. The Filipino families are strongest and most basic political, social, and economic institution. There's nothing more than this. It is the breeding ground for our most precious, strategic, and renewable resource, our next generation of citizens and leaders, our children. Our most basic God-given blessing and constitutional right is the right to life, which is both a privilege and a moral responsibility. All candidates, public officials, citizens, and their chosen leaders must affirm, uphold, and defend at all costs this right and the sanctity of life and family as a matter of duty beyond elections. So let me just also mention the people that have been here. I'm sure we'll be running out of time if we get each and every one. We have the servants community. We have the people from the baby debris that just stepped in. National transformation, although this is more for the pro-life discussion. We have Filipinos for Life. We have Doctors for Life. We have people from the group of pro-life youth, headed by Peter Pardo. And of course, with that is our pro-life champion, Congressman Lito Atienza. And I hope that when we go to the polls, we make our choice. Let's remember two things. Is it going to create or destroy life? Our vote. Basic. Thank you very much, Mabuhay.
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
Just to clarify. Yeah, because your statement says it's Pinay Punasan. And Buhay says it's Binay Marcos. So what is yours? Marcos?
That's an unfair question. Eric nearly stated very clearly his group's position, pro-lifers. I also believe in Greg Onasa. He's a solid pro-lifer. But when you ask me who will the El Shaddai group endorse, I said, Binay Marcos. So let's not confuse the two. I may still vote for the Greg Onasa. Probably I would, because he's a pro-lifer. He voted against the RHP. Kaya huwag natin isama yun. Yung desisyon ng El Shaddai,
no, I just want to make it clear because it's in their statement. It's Pinay Punasan. And there's this.
He did not give the statement. It was us.
Yeah, it was. So yours is Pinay Punasan?
Yes, that's why I read his statement.
All right.
Listen, let me just make an appeal to all the voters, especially those who are Catholics. Yung sinabi ni Eric has a lot of substance on our future in our country. Let's follow the papal admonition and advice. He said it very, very clearly when he came here and in his follow-up messages to the faithful. Responsible citizenship, he said, is a virtue. But involvement in the political life is a moral obligation. I'm addressing to my fellow Catholics who keep on saying, I do not want to involve myself because politics is dirty, and I do not have a candidate in mind, so I'm not voting. That was stated by the Pope in his Evangelii Gaudium, where he stressed all Catholics must be involved in the political life. Otherwise, mananalo rito yung anti-life. Sabi nga ni Eric, dahil ayaw din yung ma-involve. Mag-involve tayo. And when you discern and when you pray, you get inspiration. I'm sure. Vote for the pro-life candidates.
Okay, RJ, ano yung sasabihin mo tungkol sa election?
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ito po yung pagbibigay din lamang dun sa posisyon ng krusada ng mata sa balota. Amin pong hinahamon ng COMELEC na ilabas po yung tinatawag nating system hash code. Sapagkat itong system hash code na ito po ang magiging susi kung nagsisinungaling o nagsasabi ng totoo ang Commission on Election, sapagkat kung sakaling may mag-transmit ng ibang system code na ito sa araw ng eleksyon, malinaw na ito'y tanda ng panluloko at pambobola at pandidribble sa mga botante. Kaya muli hinahamon po ng mata sa balota ang COMELEC na ilabas na po ang numerong ito, sapagkat nakapagtataka ang kanilang pagiging tahimik sa numerong ito ay isang manifestasyon na meron pong pinaghahandaan o niluluto sa darating na Mayo 9. Magbantay po tayo, lahat po ng poll watchers ngayong darating na May 2 hanggang May 6 ay kinakailangan kunin po itong system hash code number na ito at ipadala po sa mata sa balota at ganun din po sa darating na May 9, lahat po ng botante ay kunin po ang numerong ito at ipadala po sa mata sa balota at para sa pagtatapos po ng alas 5 ng hapon, kung sakali na may mga ekstrang makina na hindi natin alam kung saan nanggaling at nag-transmit, mali ang numero o letra na ipinadala. Ito po isang malinaw na ebidensya na mayroong malaking kalokohan na mangyayari ngayong halalang ito. Salamat po.
Okay, thank you. We're running out of time. Kung meron may questions sa mga individual guests, you can interview them later. Pero at this point, we'd like to thank our guests, Congressman Lito Atienza,